Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for making a couple minutes to come out and hear about a significant change to a large piece of property here in Jersey City. Today's a day to be excited if you are an environmentalist, if you're an advocate for the West Side, if you're sadly somebody that has lost a family member over the last year and didn't have a chance to memorialize them, or if you're an advocate for the West Side of Jersey City and the things that we've been doing here, today is a significant day. This will become, a year from today, a very, very large park, one of the largest parks in Jersey City, 10 plus acres. And it's significant because this is a Superfund site. This is a site that, if you lived in Jersey City decades ago, was actually burning. And it's via community involvement and community activism that we're able to secure this property and create a framework for a park that will be a special passive place that people can think about where they stand today in Jersey City, the history of Jersey City, the history of this space, and of course the moment that we're going through today. As part of this park, there will be a tree planted for each of the 503 individuals that were not only robbed of their lives earlier in this year, but of particular importance, they were also robbed of the opportunity to have a formal funeral where their loved ones could say goodbye to them. I experienced that firsthand with my grandmother who passed away this summer. We didn't have the ability to have a formal funeral for her. And so I know firsthand what those families are going through. And we said at the time that we would do something appropriate for them, and we are taking that step forward today. I have a couple speakers here that I'd like to call up that have been involved in this project, whether it's been historically securing this land over the last couple decades or creating the framework for the park today. And I'd like to defer to each of them for a couple minutes. We'll start with the councilwoman who's been involved in this, and she's the councilwoman for Ward B, Mira Prince Airy.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor. Thank you, first of all, to the Friends of Skyway Park, Steve KRINSKY, your group, the Riverkeeper, Bill Matsakudis, for continually advocating to create a space where people can come, enjoy nature, and reflect here on the west side of the city. This is actually a pretty profound moment. This was once a super brown site. Now it's going to be a memorial for the people that we lost during a health pandemic, and it's going to be turned into a place where people can reflect and improve their health and quality of life, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that is really not lost on me as somebody representing the ward, because this is the kind of thing that we want for all of Jersey City. So I am very excited to see this come to fruition. Thank you to Mayor. Thank you to the county and to the state for providing funding for this and for really moving this project forward. To come into Jersey City from this west side and to see a grove of trees is going to be a beautiful thing. It'll be improving the quality of life for our residents in Marion who have basically no green space at all. I can't wait to come back next year to see when this actually, the first phase happens. Thank you.
I'm going to invite up Steve KRINSKY, who's the chairman of the Skyway Parks Conservancy. Steve has been the leader in the community group, working with a lot of the activists here to secure this land and work with us in the community to create a special passive place that will be a destination for families and residents of northern New Jersey, I think, actually. And I want to turn it over to Steve KRINSKY.
Thank you. I'm Steve KRINSKY, chair of Skyway Park Conservancy. Our group is made up of local folks who are involved in a number of grassroots organizations in the area: Hudson County Sierra Club, Hackensack Riverkeeper, Bike JC, the Parks Coalition, and more. Over the past few years, we've been working together as advocates for the Skyway Park and the Hackensack River Walkway. We're thrilled to be here today as partners with Mayor Fulop in Jersey City to support the COVID memorial as part of Skyway Park. Sad as it is, the memorial represents some of the best qualities we have here in Jersey City: strength, determination, resilience, and renewal. And these qualities run through the history of the site. Here on the shores of the Hackensack, the Lenape Indians came to hunt and fish. When the Europeans came and Jersey City became an industrial city, it was home to factories and warehouses and the people who worked in them. This site represents the power of industry. Sadly, it also represents the downside of industry, as the PJP landfill became notorious for the underground fire that burned here for more than a decade. The people who lived in the area remember the place for its smoke and its smell. But people of Jersey City were determined. After years of protests from local citizens, public officials took notice. In 1983, the EPA declared the landfill a Superfund site. Tens of thousands of barrels, let me repeat that, tens of thousands of barrels of toxic waste were removed and the site was cleaned up. It sat dormant after that until eventually Jersey City bought the site. Some of the land became a warehouse across the way, over there, and the remaining 32 acres are designated as a park. Now, here we are finally turning Skyway Park into a reality, a renewal, again, a testament to determination and resilience. While the virus still rages on, today's ceremony is a step forward and a glimpse of a post-pandemic future for families of the victims of the virus and for all of us. We look ahead to the day when COVID will be gone, and this will be a place where people come for reflection and renewal, fresh air and great views. It will be a park for the people of Marion and Journal Square and West Side neighborhoods and for all of Jersey City. Someday soon, Skyway Park will be an open, natural area along the shores of this awesome and cleaner than ever river, a part of the rebirth of the green coast of Jersey City, a stop along the Hackensack River Walkway, and a world-class park. Today is only the first step. Thank you.
Steve, that was great. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite up Bill Matsakoutis, who's the corporate counsel and really crucial in securing this space as the potential to be a park. And today is very much a byproduct of a conversation that Bill and I had, an ongoing conversation for several years about the potential here. And he's been as crucial to today as anybody up here. So I'll turn it over to Bill Matsakoutis.
Thanks very much, Mayor Fulop, for the kind words, and more importantly, for the leadership to bring about the final steps in the transformation of what you've been hearing about here being a smoldering, toxic dump. I was looking at a New York Times article, and turned that into a park. I was looking at a New York Times article from 1985 yesterday that talked about how for 3 decades, the people in the surrounding communities, the Marion neighborhood, the public housing on Duncan Avenue by Lincoln Park, were suffering from the toxic smoke from the fires that raged here. Notwithstanding the efforts of the Jersey City Fire Department, those flames couldn't be doused because, as Steve KRINSKY said, they were being caused by chemical drums that would spontaneously combust. And after an effort was undertaken in the late 80s, early 90s to remove those drums, and the heavy lifting of the remediation was done, the job was left incomplete. And for many years, this went from a landfill and a toxic dump to a junkyard. It first came on my radar when I was the corporation counsel, when we were looking to relocate the Department of Public Works so that, not ironically, that an environmental remediation could occur at that location. But the city council wouldn't have moving the DPW here because they said there was already too much traffic on routes 109 and 440 that was only going to be exacerbated by that warehouse that's nearby here. And then I heard that there was a plan afoot to so-called remediate this site that would have called for a cap in the form of like a mountain ziggurat surrounded by a barbed wire fence with a skull and crossbones that said, "Do not enter." And we stamped our feet. We threatened a lawsuit. We looked into the research on it, and it didn't seem like we had much of a grounds to sue. Then DEP Commissioner Lisa Jackson said, "Why don't you put your money where your mouth is and acquire this land and make it a park?" When I presented that idea to the business administrator, he said, "You mean that Superfund site that burst into flames all those years?" And he threw me out of his office. We took Mayor Healy down here, notwithstanding the fact that this place had truck bodies and empty refrigerators spewing about. He saw the potential, and to his credit, said, "Let's try and do this, but I don't want to spend too much money." So we got millions of dollars of grants from the Port Authority, from the Hudson County Open Space Trust Fund. We bought the land. We entered into a conservation easement, giving the Hackensack River Keeper the right to stop any development here, and there's been some concepts of that. And with public input, many meetings over at Our Lady of Mount Carmel and Marion, and open houses where people were able to walk along here, a concept of a passive park came about. And There's so many different competing parks in this city, new parks that are on the agenda. It sat for a bit, and as Mayor Fulop indicated, we started to have a discussion about what could occur here, especially as a Green Acres grant was starting to get overly ripe and ready to potentially go away. And he came up with an idea that I think is a wonderful fitting idea, this tribute to the 503 victims of the coronavirus who died during the lockdown, who couldn't have a wake, who couldn't have a funeral. I think it's particularly fitting to utilize trees, the symbol of life. These trees will not only commemorate those victims, but everyone who's really suffered as a result of the coronavirus, and it will be a lasting testament to them and to their families for years to come. It will provide oxygen for our city and a beautiful place to come and reflect. So this is extremely exciting. You know, it's a saga that's lasted for decades. So many community activists, so many dedicated public servants from the city level to the state DEP to the EPA who fought to make this happen. And you know, this is going to be part of the Hackensack River Walkway. We'll be able to walk from here to Bayonne. There's part of that walkway with 5 acres of open space behind the warehouse we mentioned. It's going to take us all the way to Bayfront. And you know, the mayor is moving forward on so many great park plans that have been around for and discussed for years. 6th Street Embankment, the reservoir, to complement the amazing parks we have, and you've fought against the privatization of Liberty State Park. I think that in the years to come, Jersey City is arguably going to have the best park system of any city in America. And let's keep that moving forward. And thanks again, again, Mayor, for your leadership on that.
A couple more people that are important to hear from. I do want to invite up the river keeper, Bill SHEEHAN, who's been also a key part of protecting this property here. Bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, as you heard, my name is Captain Bill SHEEHAN, and I am your Hackensack river keeper. There's an old saying that good things come to those who wait, and we've been waiting. The city of Jersey City has been waiting, and the Hackensack River watershed has been waiting for way too long for this park to come into fruition. And I'm so happy to be here today with the mayor, with the elected representatives, and the Conservancy, our partners over here, to make this announcement with the mayor that this is going to become a passive park. And you've heard what they said about a COVID grove. That's going to be a memorial to all of the people in Jersey City that passed during the pandemic. And it's also going to provide public access to the river. There's 3 different kinds of access. There's physical access where you get into the water. There's riverside access where you can throw a line in the water and maybe do some fishing. And then there's visual access, which is extraordinarily important, especially to people that live in cities where a lot of the windows in your house, all you see that when you look out the window is the side of another house or another building. You need to be able to see vistas, and look at that vista out there. It's a beautiful view of New Jersey, and the Skyway and the industrial past of the region it's all on view. What a great place to come and relax. And you know, I was waiting all morning to see one of the eagles. We've got an eagle's nest not far from here over in Kearney. And if you come up here during the warm weather months, you're likely to see eagles flying around. You know, when I was a little boy living in Jersey City, the idea of an eagle anywhere near Jersey City was totally off the rails. Today we've got eagles, we've got plenty of fish in the river, we've got an organization in Hackensack Riverkeeper that makes sure that this river is going to continue to improve. And as people come to the river and as people begin to really enjoy the river, this is going to be one of the major stops on Jersey City's waterfront walkway. Years ago, we were having a conversation down at the City Hall, and I told the city, you have a Gold Coast. Everybody understands that the Hudson River waterfront in Jersey City and North Bergen and Weehawken is the Gold Coast in Hudson County. Well, this is the Green Coast, and we're going to keep it that way by having good public access along the entire length of the Hackensack River, all the way from Secaucus to Bayonne, eventually. I want to thank the mayor for inviting me today, and I also want to thank the mayor for his vision that he brought to us, and literally I was so excited when I saw it. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you. couple more. I'd like to invite up our freeholder who represents this area for more than 2 decades and a lifelong resident of the west side of Jersey City, freeholder Bill O'Day, who's been our partner in securing open space dollars and making a lot of the green space that's happened a reality. So, freeholder Bill O'Day.
Thank you, Mayor, and I hope when the park is built, it might be a good idea if the county gets the ability to maintain it. Since we have Lincoln Park so close by, we might be able to pitch in for that. No, this is a great day. I think the concept the mayor's proposed, tied into the victims of COVID, is fitting. And ironically, because Bill Matsakoudas mentioned a New York Times article from 1985, that was the year, Bill, I got elected to the city council. It was a few years ago. And the first initiative we worked on with people like Gloria Robinson from A. Harry Moore Housing Site, Betty Morris from Marion Gardens, who we'll never know how many people may have died there, the result of breathing in those toxic fumes for all those years. But one of the first initiatives we did, which included a march and ultimately a meeting with Governor Tom Kean, was to get the declaration of an emergency that came up with the $22 million that at least put the fires out and at least started that process that took many years to get completed. And I don't know if anybody here remembers, there was a gentleman who worked for the city at the time named Tex Aldridge. If anyone doesn't remember him, look him up. He wore a cowboy hat, and he used to come down. I don't even think he had a car. But he was an environmental advocate or superhero before they had them. When they had the movie The Toxic Avenger come out, we thought maybe they based the main character on Tex. So that's kind of the history. You go back 35 years to a period of time when we had people demonstrating, and at that point demonstrating for how you could have a toxic burning landfill across from 2 low-income housing sites, bringing it to the attention of Governor Kean, who, to his credit, declared the emergency, got the process started. But now, in a sad way, you got to wait 35 years later to see the end of that process, which is to take the final northern end of that site and see it begin the process of being constructed into a park. I think it's going to be great. It's exciting. It's good for the residents that live in my district. It's kind of an adjunct to Lincoln Park, though it's not part of Lincoln Park, which we take great pride in. So Mayor Fulop, thank you for the leadership that you continue to provide to Jersey City.
All right, before we bring up our last speaker, I just want to say a couple public thank yous. First, I want to acknowledge Paula and Laura, who represent the Parks Coalition, which is the premier organization in Jersey City and our partner in all things parks. So I just want to say thank you for coming out today. And then we have a couple council people that have been crucial to this. We have the councilwoman that represents the south side of Jersey City, Denise Ridley, and her and the councilwoman for Ward B, who you heard from earlier, have been really working on the revitalization of the south and west side of Jersey City with some of the most significant projects that are happening anywhere in the tri-state region, particularly Bayfront, which is close to a $200 million project that will bring 8,000 units, 35% affordable housing, and also extend this walkway further. And so it's all part of a larger vision with regards to the west side of Jersey City. So I wanted to say thank you to Councilwoman Ridley, and then we have Councilman Boggiano here as well, a lifelong resident who certainly knows the history of this site firsthand, and also been a champion for cleaning up some of these toxic sites in Jersey City and making sure that they could become good public spaces. So to close us out, I want to invite up Vernon Richardson. Vernon and I have known each other for a long time regarding his community activism. And then several years ago, he became the trusted advisor and a good friend to the late Councilman Michael Yun, who we lost during the pandemic, and similarly to the other 502 people, was not able to have a wake or funeral that was fitting for a person of that stature and his contributions to what he's done for Jersey City over the decades. And I asked Vernon to say a couple words here because Vernon knows firsthand about the relationship with Michael Yun, the city, and of course he was a partner in open space. So I do want to invite up Vernon to say a couple words and close us out.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I was aide to Councilman Michael Yoon. He was my friend. I miss him. And this site will provide a measure of closure. On behalf of the Yoon family, his wife Jennifer, his children Brian and Benjamin, Mr. Mayor, she has asked me to convey her full support for this project and regrets that she is not able to be here today because she hasn't quite reached closure and didn't want to misrepresent the councilman today. I believe this site means a lot more than just the 503 people. I believe it will represent the resiliency of the city. Everyone from those who died, to those who loved them, to those who've just had a bad 2020. It will provide closure to each and every one of us, and it will provide a place for us all to gather and to recognize that achievement, to be able to get beyond this. Thank you very much.
I want to acknowledge our state assemblyman who represents this area, Nicholas Chevelati. Earlier, Bill Matsakudis mentioned the Green Acres funds, and the state has been a partner. So thank you, Assemblyman, and Assemblywoman Angela McKnight, who couldn't be here with us today as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Pastor Atwater. If there's any questions first on the site, the first step will be on the next council agenda, the LSRP. The goal is to move forward within a year to start the planting and the additional soil early in the spring and have it completed summer, early fall next year. It'll be close to a $10 million investment. We will have to bring in a lot of additional soil because there is a cap underneath here. Our arborists have been working with the Friends of Skyway Park to select the appropriate trees and the appropriate formation, consistent with what you see over here. There will be a memorial plaque at the entryway that will recognize the names of the individuals that weren't afforded the opportunity to have a wake and funeral. And we will be working with the Arts Council of Jersey City to design that. And God willing, a year from today, we'll be here at the ribbon cutting.